Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tio, I'm a Cambridge alumnus, and this video is about improving your concentration span. In this video we'll talk about gauging your natural concentration span, factors that are affecting your concentration span, and strategies that you can use to improve your concentration span. This video is intended to build on two of my previous videos, one about procrastination and the other one about time management. So if you haven't watched those already, then make sure to check those out as they complement each other nicely. Make sure to like this video and let's jump right into it. Okay, so we normally tend to have a high expectation of our ability to concentrate and get really frustrated if we can't focus for as long as we wish to, or for as long as we feel we should. Often when we plan how to use our time, we tend to allocate whole mornings or afternoons for doing certain tasks and expect ourselves to work for the entire period of time, without thinking that we might actually need some breaks and splitting the study session or work session into more shorter periods in more concise tasks. We tend to define our tasks vaguely rather than define precise tasks that we can use in short sessions of work. Now, working with deep focus for an entire morning or afternoon might work for some people in certain situations, and we'll talk about those in the next part. But it's important to note that the ability to concentrate varies between individuals and you have to get to know yourself. In order not to get bogged down and demotivated, it's important not to have unrealistic expectations of yourself or to judge yourself negatively if you can't concentrate for as long as you feel that you should. So you should accept your natural attention span and find ways to work with it and strengthen it. You may naturally be able to work on a task for an hour or longer, especially if the task is enjoyable and interesting to you, in which case you might have to work on improving your concentration on tasks that are less enjoyable and less engaging. Or you may find that it's hard to work for such long periods of time and you may prefer working in short bursts of about 20 minutes. If you have a shorter concentration span, it doesn't mean that you work less hard, it just means that you work in shorter bursts. So it's worth observing your attention span as you work in a non-judgmental way and try to accommodate to that. So what are the factors that can impact your concentration? One important factor is your commitment to the task. Now, you may not be fully motivated to do each and every small task that is part of the bigger picture, but a commitment to the bigger goal that you've got may push you to focus more on those small things that you have to do each day in order to fulfill that goal. You may have an intrinsic commitment which comes from within yourself. Say if you enrolled for university for a subject that you really want to delve into and find out more about. You may not enjoy every subject or every piece of coursework that you're doing, but you're committed to the overall goal of entering that field of knowledge. But your commitment may also be extrinsic, like having paid a lot for that university, for example. Or if you're working on a really important project that you don't necessarily like, but you know that fulfilling it properly will help you further your career. Now, another big factor is your enthusiasm and interest in the task. This is all about your internal motivation, which is why the tasks that you're enthusiastic about will be the easiest to concentrate on. For example, I noticed that whenever I'm reading something that I personally assigned to myself and it's not part of the coursework, I'm very much interested in going on and reading further and further, and I can read for hours without complaining that I've got so much work to do, because it's self-assigned, it's something that is part of my own core interests. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. The same happens to me with guitar most of the time. Whenever I sit down, I forget how time passes and 2-3 hours can pass without me noticing. Another key aspect is your skill and your confidence in doing the task. If you're not confident enough, you might get anxious about the task, and this may lead you to procrastinate, as it makes you very susceptible to giving in to distractions. Now, of course, you can't be skilled and confident right from the beginning. You can't be proficient right when you start doing a task. You have to build up to that, but if you feel that your lack of confidence is bogging you down, that you may actually want to start with shorter bursts of work while building up that confidence and that skill, and then you might notice that you are able to focus for longer periods of time simply because you gain momentum in your learning. Some activities have a steeper learning curve and others have a flatter learning curve. It's also important to gauge the type of activity that you're trying to get good at. Of course, another important factor is your emotional and physical state, including comfort and tiredness. Normally, if you're feeling less comfortable and more tired, then you tend to focus for less. So it's important to take care of yourself and build a healthy routine that can sustain the kind of work that you want to do. If you need advice on how to sleep better, then make sure to check out this video that I made last year about this topic. The next important factor affecting your concentration span is your psychological state and your preoccupation with worries. From my own personal experience, if that is the case, then one of the best things you can do is talk to people about it, talk to your friends or your family. It will greatly help you work through your worries and restore your natural concentration span. Now, one final factor is the environment that you're in. Before the pandemic, one of the best environments I was able to concentrate in was the library, but for a year now already, this has not been possible, and I've had to be able to concentrate at home as well. In this situation in which we can't change the environment that much, it's important to still try to create a concentration and working environment somewhere in the home. Clearly assigning a desk space that is designed for work and for focusing is really important in building a routine around that space. Nowadays we tend to mix work and personal life quite a lot, so this becomes increasingly important. So assigning a space where you only do leisure activities and another space where you do your work is really important in building those healthier routines. So with all these factors in mind, it's important to observe which ones are affecting you at each given time and try to find ways to mitigate each of them. Now, going on to the nitty and gritty strategies for improving your concentration span, the number one rule is not being unrealistic or overly ambitious when setting the length of your work sessions. Try to set a shorter length of time, like about 20 minutes. You can use the Pomodoro method to do 25 minutes and 5 minutes of break. And if you can keep focusing and feel like you don't need the break, you can of course always continue. The second important strategy is planning regular breaks to refresh yourself. Always keep in mind that it's not about how long you work, but how efficiently you work. And if you like to work in shorter bursts with some breaks in between, then it's totally fine. Many people tend to only take breaks when they feel they've worked enough and that they earned the break, but breaks are not something you deserve, they are something you need. However, make sure that you don't take breaks as a form of procrastinating. For more info on taking breaks, make sure to check out the video about time management that I made last week. The third strategy, if you feel like you're losing focus, is to introduce some change of location or change of the task that you're doing. But again, make sure that this is not becoming a way to procrastinate. Fourth strategy is to take note of the time of day when you concentrate best and try to plan the most intensive activities for those times of day. You may be a so-called night owl, focusing better in the late afternoon or evening, or an early bird focusing more in the early morning. There's nothing wrong with either of them, despite the current system of work and studying favoring those who are early birds. But as Matthew Walker suggests, there are genetic reasons why some people are a certain way, so make sure to pay attention to yourself and see when you focus best yourself. If you often find yourself distracted by worries or daydreaming, then strategy number 5 is to set aside time during the day when you allow yourself to worry and daydream. You may even go as far as to have strategies to stop those trains of thoughts when they come to you. A quick technique that helps some people is that whenever they feel that a train of thought is starting, they say stop, they note it down and put it aside for that period when they allow themselves to daydream. Now let's talk about 3 other more niche techniques for improving your concentration span. One of them would be to add some extrinsic motivation to doing that certain task. That could come in the form of a small reward. For example, for the past week, as I've been revising for exams, I've been able to concentrate for the entire morning because I've been looking forward to that midday walk to get some takeaway coffee. That has been my small reward for the past week, but you may also set up some kind of accountability group with friends where you all focus in a group and then allow yourselves a little time to walk and chat a little bit, catch up, talk about each other's worries, or just having a bit of fun before going back to focusing and working again. Now, of course, when I'm saying this, I'm referring to the good old times when we were able to all go to the library together with friends and our colleagues. But during the pandemic, a reward may be a call with the friends or even maybe a 20-minute episode from a series, but make sure not to watch more than one episode because that is called procrastination. And one more thing to take note of is whether your activity is either too passive or too active. If you're a student, your approach to learning may be too passive. Reading passively is great when you're reading for fun, but at university, some active study strategies like active recall may increase your involvement and thus your concentration span. A quick technique when you're reading in order to read more actively would be to summarize each paragraph that you're reading in your own words and thus engaging critically and personally with the text. Conversely, if the task is too active and if you have to write a lot and you get tired of it, you may want to adopt a different strategy. Maybe working in shorter bursts would be better, but if you find that this interrupts your flow of ideas, what you could do is write one paragraph and then at the end quickly jot down the main points of your next paragraph. And this way you can allow yourself a quick break before going back to the next paragraph, and you can then continue easily without forgetting what you wanted to write about. If you found this video useful, make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more useful videos like this one. For more study and work tips every other week, you can subscribe to my newsletter. If you like what I'm doing, you can now also support me by buying me a coffee via the link in the description, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye bye.